Okay, so I am here with the author Vinod Raman Nair, who's written a very interesting book called Tree and the Emerald Stone of Irene. Now, before we jump into different facts and facets and details about this book, just within 2 minutes, Vinodji, if you could give us a summary of your book for the ones who are just tuning.
Well, the book is basically a historical fiction, but at the same time, what I try to do is try to engage with my audience in a more entertaining way. Where it was very important for me that see the whole intent of the book. That is also very important when I talk about this book. The whole idea was, over a period of time, I had always sensed that people around me were perhaps very uninterested or oblivious of the history. And I have always been of the belief that history of India cannot be seen in isolation. See, history is never seen in isolation. History always has its cascading effects, its chain effects. Something which happens in another part of the world will have its effects in India too, and vice versa. So for me, history is always global. So and whenever I used to have discussions with my peers or kids of my younger generation, I always felt that they were a little disinterested because they were always feeling these timelines and the personality clashes. Nowadays it's all a war. When it comes to personality, you like a personality, I like a personality, we talk and we are so prejudiced and biased about it. So I thought let us unravel history where we completely set aside timelines and personalities, and let us try and venture into history on the lines of a civilization, of a great civilization which happened into this world. And see, when it comes to the story of this world, whenever a story of this world would be written, it would be about great civilizations which walked over this earth, discovering fantabulous things, and those were taken as hypothesis by the next civilization. Every civilization had a rise and every civilization had a fall. You understand? So what happens is, I want to view history that way. Travel through
I just button for one moment there. Like you described your approach towards writing the book, the way you want to make it interesting for different people, the kind of civilizational period which shows. But if in under, like literally, like you have the summary of a book, like you have the summary of your book. If in under 60 seconds, you could just tell us the summary of your book, because I think that's something.
I'll tell you. I was coming to that. I was coming to that. It's basically about Harun's conquest of Byzantium, where Empress Irene loses to him. She is defeated, and when she is defeated and arrested, to bail herself out, she gives this emerald stone, which was known as the occult stone, which even the Caesars. It's a legend in Roman history that this is the stone which which had the light of fortune. Because of which the Romans could rule the world for ages, and she gives him that stone as a gift to buy her own freedom, and whereby she is freed off, and this stone is brought into Baghdad. Now, this is where now the Islamic history says that when the stone came in, it was decked up in the top of the Baitul Hikmah, in the top of the dome of the Baitul Hikmah, where it was decked up. Where they say that the light spread all across the city. Now, what happened is Harun al-Rashid, when he took over as the Khalifa, he started building on this Baitul Hikmah, and there was a lot of progress which happened during that time. But what happened during his last days? What happened? He seemed to have developed Alzheimer's. And his two sons were always fighting for succession. There was a succession battle which he was very, very upset about. Now, there is another line coming in. The whole Islamic empire was basically built on the strength of a particular race called as Burmakids. Now, Burmakids were originally Buddhists, who later on converted and became the most important people in the Islamic empire. Now, because of his love for his son, he had to take on even the Burmakids. A lot of Burmakids were killed. But somewhere inside him, he mourned for his love and friendship for them. You understand? And in those last days, he felt that, this stone, if fallen into wrong hands, could, probably, would be very disruptive for people around. So, he hid this stone, and left a few clues before he died. Now, what happened is during the 13th century, when the Mongols came in and invaded the whole, and the caliphate was brought down, the fall of the Islamic caliphate happened. Somewhere this stone got lost. Nobody knew where it is. Now, the only idea of a few references of this stone is made in a book called Risala, which was written by a very renowned poet in his court, in Harun's court, by the name Ahmad ibn Fadlain. And now this is what is basically the introduction of the Emerald Stone. Now we are cutting to the 21st century, where we have the good and the bad people. Now there is this one secret society organization, which basically is a little neo-Nazi kind of ideologies they follow, and it's led by, it's known as the order of the nine angels, and which I'm trying to build upon, like the spectre. If you remember in the Bond films, the spectre. So, I'm going to bring these angels in this. In this, we are dismantling the ninth angel. The eighth angel will surface in some of the subsequent book. So in this, we are catering to the ninth angel, which comes in and creates problem. Nergal, who is the first angel, he is wanting to get hold of the stone, to unleash his own agenda on this world. A very autocratic and authoritative government he wants to set up. And it is about these three guys from various parts of the world coming together for their own reasons. Trying to stop this, evil lord from getting hold of this stone. This is basically how it is narrated, and through the eyes of Kabir, Ajay, and Michael is where I'm exploring the 9th century golden age of Islamic history.
Oh, so I sort of play a part in your book also. That's good to know. But when somebody reads the summary of your book, there's an ancient emerald stone. There's a 21st century. There are good and bad people trying to find it. There's this neo-Nazi cult called the Order of the Nine Angels, and all sorts of other things. The first thing which our generation, or in fact anybody in the last 15 years or 20 years who's been heavily into reading books and culture, is going to think about is Dan Brown. So what I want to know is, how much did Dan Brown's book, Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code, Digital Portrait, especially the first two ones, what role did these play in the kind of narrative and the motivation which went into you writing this book? Because it literally the first thing I think about is.
I know. Any Dan Brown is highly inspirational, and but the only thing is that the storytelling is different. See, the storytelling is very different. Dan Brown's storytelling is very academic. Okay. Dan Brown's storytelling is very academic, and one who doesn't have his sight on history would not be able to understand it. See, even for the first book which he wrote, the Da Vinci Code, it's until and unless you know about the Illuminati, the history of those times, the church and the civilian society, how there were clashes. If you don't know about it, you will not understand it. You understand? So somewhere I feel it was again, for me, it was a very enjoyable experience. See, for Dan Brown has been a favorite. I never miss a Dan Brown book or a movie, whichever is made. See, but the thing is, he did certainly, see, what actually excites me towards Dan Brown is where he brings those small clues, very interesting clues, through which he tries to, set up the stage. That is a very interesting way of telling a story, which I feel has a universal appeal, and certainly I'm inspired by it. There is no second thought about it. I really feel then that I was inspired. I was inspired from that part. I was.
So, there are going to be more books in this series, right? As you said, you are breaking down a certain portion, let's say the line table, and then you go on to other aspects, etc. So this kind of thing also in this current generation, one starts to think that when you are writing this book, or even right now, once you've written this book, do you sort of feel that maybe sometime in the future, a Netflix or an Amazon or somebody might approach you to make a web series or a movie on it or something? Because it would make quite an interesting
Yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah. You see, there have already been to a couple of studios who have approached me to make a film out of this. See, web series, I was a little skeptical at the start. That's because, see, me being a man of documentaries, a man of cinema, one thing which somewhere little bit disappoints me about OTT is basically the small screen. The canvas is what puts me a little down, but then you have a good intelligent crowd there who watches on to this kind of consumes this kind of software. But see, as a writer, as a creator, I always see any writer or any creator would feel this, that his work has to reach a larger audience. When it has to resonate to a larger audience, it has to be cinema first. If there has to be an extension of a book, then it has to be cinema first. That's because it is something which has to be told to a larger audience. That's what I feel. See, don't you feel, let me ask you a very simple question. See, I tell you, there were a lot of my Muslim friends who called me when my PR exercise was happening on various social media handles. They were surprised, shocked, and that Arey, yaar, something like this is there. They didn't know about it. When that one of the first clocks were introduced by the Arabs, they didn't know that, and they were stunned and shocked. And I told them, see, the problem is what we don't try to research. First of all, that culture, it doesn't come from the families. We all are hell-bound in making our kids into Manchurian candidates. They will do what we decide. We will write the fate. So somewhere they are completely alienated from. So I said, my book is also for you, my friend. You need to be proud of the legacy which people have left behind. You also have to feel proud. You don't have to feel isolated कि तुम्हारे में भी बहुत लोगों ने बहुत शानदार काम किया है यार. हर सिविलाइजेशन में हर आदमी ने बहुत बेहतरीन काम किया. So you also should feel proud of it. That's what I told him. So these are small things which I feel contented when a reader reflects upon it in that way. So you feel yes, that part I succeeded. I'll be another thing I'll tell you. The first test I made for my book was I gave this book to read to my 12-year-old kid. He was the first reader of my book. And I told him, you read it and you let me know how you find it. Now, to be very honest, I'll tell you, many places where he found difficult words, he skipped. You understand? But he read the whole book, and he came back to me telling me about the action sequences and the thrilling part of the book. And he also came to me saying that what a cracker of a suspense the book has towards the end. And then he asked me about Arabian Nights. See, there is a whole portion of the book which I have dedicated to Arabian Nights. See, because Arabian Nights was the Harry Potter of my time. You understand? When I was a kid, Aladdin flying on those magic carpet, that was basically, and there was no religion in that. Arabian Nights was Arabian Nights. It was a fantastic fantasy. So, these are the things which I'm trying to bring to.
Yeah, and in fact, the funny part is, I'm hearing the term Arabian Nights after such a long time. It just goes to show that, after how long we are thinking of something like this. In fact, Alif Laila was a very famous serial, also which was there. So also, moving on, how difficult is it to write a book? How difficult was it for you to write this personally? Or was it like an easy process?
Yeah, see, it's not about whether it was, I wouldn't say it was difficult to write, but see, what happened is it required a lot of patience. It required a lot of patience. And somewhere it was set into me because I had been working on a lot of extensive documentary making. So, that schooling was there inside me where, you had to be very patient when you get into the research. You can't just jump up excited getting one information. There have to be, the dots have to be connected in the right way. Otherwise, it falls on its face. So, that's why I told you 2.5 years was rigorous research. There was no writing at all. I only had in my mind that, I need to say this in an entertaining way. To be very honest, now if I decipher it, I'll tell you, I took the simple formula of Manmohan Desai because I am a film buff. Ajay is a Hindu, Kabir is a Muslim, and Michael is a Christian. It is simple. The simple storytelling tool I have taken. It's about these three guys, Amar, Akbar, Anthony, who come together and spoil things for evil Lord Nergal. So it was the research part. It was more enjoyable. I would say that I enjoyed it very much because it was a completely new realm which I was getting into. Because I have been doing a lot of research on the Bolshevik era, East European history, all those things I have been deciphering. I have even got into Gaza, where I've tried to understand the history of the Arab conflict. But at the same time, this was something which I had never got into something where I'm talking about science, alchemy, time traveling capsules, and laid it with fantasy. So, bringing all that together, it was very enjoyable, to be very honest. But yes, what happens is when you're working on a documentary or a film, you have various departmental heads who help you execute a plan. You understand? You have a DP who shoots for you. You have a certain production designer who creates a production design for you. But when you're writing a book, what happens is you have to own up to everything. You have to create your set designs. You have to create the costumes. So then it was a completely unique exercise which I got into, and I should tell you, it was very enjoyable. It was very enjoyable. I thought, and I finally discovered that I can do it. I could do it. So it was not difficult, but time consuming. Yes, writing a book is very, very time consuming. It's not like writing a film.
And a lot of patience, a lot of discipline which sort of goes into it. And it is the kind of, for anybody who reads the summary of your book, and especially who goes through your book, there are 100 different things which we can talk about right now. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, Zoom has a certain time limit, and as I see the time limit is not only about 8-9 minutes left. So I'm gonna rush to the last question, really, which I want to ask you, which definitely I want should be a part of this interview. Like the neo-Nazi organization, right? Again, I keep coming back to that because to a certain extent, a lot of us are very fascinated with these kind of secret societies, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the Illuminati or whether it is the Freemasons or whether it is some other secret organization. So my last question to you is, in real life, right? In real life, do you really think that there are a bunch of secret organizations which are running the world and pulling the strings? And what kind of secret organizations do you think they are? Satan makes, but otherwise.
See, I feel you are bang on there. These secret societies are very intriguing. Very intriguing. I'm doing a small research on a secret society which is said to have existed from the 2nd century BC. Which is known as Ashoka and his unknown 9 men. Ever heard about it?
No.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I mean, they succeeded in the whole endeavor. They are secret enough. I haven't heard of them.
Yeah. It's a secret society which was created by Ashoka the Great. And a lot of articles and a lot of documents I have collected on it. Very intriguing ones. Where I got a piece of documentary even from Japan, from a friend in Japan. You understand? Where they attribute the birth of judo to this secret society, where this secret society had discovered something called as death with a touch, which was basically a book written by the secret society. This secret society of 9 men were assigned to write 9 different books. So in a particular book of physiology, there was a tantra which was created on death by a touch, which is attributed to the birth of judo. You understand? So there are a lot of intriguing stories about secret societies, but I'm somewhere in a corner of my heart, I believe that they do exist. Why? I'll tell you. That's because, see, even though we tom of being a very democratic, free society, we are not. See, what happens is an idea which doesn't resonate with me or you. We don't entertain it. You understand? We don't entertain it. So, out of fear, there might be people. See, even Illuminati was formed out of fear because they were suppressed. These people were suppressed. Just imagine if scientists of the scale of Galileo, apologizes to the church, saying that, no, I am wrong, you are right. Just imagine. So, there are ideas which somewhere doesn't get a chance to surface, and somewhere they are festering in small colonies inside this world. You don't know because I feel that we are still not that free world. There is a lot of spaces for such societies to survive. That's what I feel.
Okay, so the author who I'm speaking to right now, who's just come out with a very interesting book, completely believes in secret societies. For all I know, the way I've been to the book and I've been talking to him, I won't be surprised if he's part of a secret society. Not that he's going to tell us about it, but anyone who's watching this interview, anyone who's fond of reading books, in fact, anyone who's fond of documentaries or history or World War II, the triads, the Yakuza, stuff like that, definitely read this book. It's a very interesting book. It's got a lot of actual historical facts, and he's made it very interesting for you. Plus, there's a whole series coming up, and the way he's saying he's already been approached by, I believe, 2 OTT platforms or 2 production houses. So, later on, if this becomes the next Game of Thrones, which India is proud of, if you say that you read the book, then you would be possibly so. But it was quite interesting talking to you. Looking forward to the next book. Looking forward to more conversations with you, because there are times when I think 20 minutes are enough for me to speak with any person. There are times when after 20 minutes, I feel that, oh my God, I could have actually asked this guy 100 more things. So, okay, let's just do something. Maybe 2 weeks later, a month later, we pick up on a different topic and we can talk about that also. But
Sure.
And all the best to you.
Sure. They're fantastic talking to you.